Shalom, everyone. My name is Rabbi Elliot Salo Schoenberg, International Director of Placement for the Rabbinical Assembly. Almost 20 years ago, in 1993, we created a program called Eight Ratzon. We realized that finding a place of rabbinic employment was only 50% of the task of looking for new employment. The other 50% was integrating into the new environment. And so we created Eight Ratzon, a one-day seminar. This is Eight Ratzon Katan, a mini version, a short video clip of some of the basic information, not meant to replace Eight Ratzon, but give you some expectations of how to manage your transition well. My teacher in all of this was a man by the name of William Bridges, who wrote an important book called Managing Transitions. I read that book more than 20 years ago and then went to a seminar that he was teaching in Denver, Colorado. He talked about how to manage your transition. Today, I'd like to talk about managing the ending well. For Bridges, there were three sections to the transition. There was endings, the neutral zone, and new beginnings. Today, we'd like to talk about the endings. For Bridges, in discussing the endings, he wanted to make a point of distinction between what stops and what does it mean to end. Stop is a one-time event, meaning you've decided to leave your place of employment, or your employer has sent you a letter of termination, or you've decided that this is a date on which you will retire. That's the stop. But the emotions that are involved in it, the processes, the endings, that's the transition that takes a while. Imagine as if it was an iceberg, and the tip of the iceberg is the stop, the date on which you are leaving, the letter that you will be sending to the congregation. The bottom part of the iceberg are all of the other things that are going on, all of the emotions that are involved. That's the endings. Bridges talks about what are the tasks of the endings. He suggests that there are four tasks. The first one is that you will get closure from your experience. The second task is that you will say goodbye. The third task is to recognize you will have feelings, sometimes very strong feelings, about leaving your place of employment. And finally, the most important task is to let go. Bridges makes the point that we need to go through all of these tasks in order to succeed in our new place of employment. If we do it well, we will be able to transition better, be able to make a good start. He makes the point that we often go through it not with particular intention, and don't realize the impact that saying goodbye or having an ending has on us and our new future and our new place of employment. So Bridges makes the point, do it with intention and do it well. And now I'd like to move on to suggested tips that Bridges makes on how to end well. First, Bridges suggests, identify what is ending and what is not. Think about what will end and what will continue. He makes the key point for us to understand. Think about it as a book with chapters. Where is the chapter ending and what will be the next chapter? Next, Bridges suggests not only should we identify what is ending, but what is ending for whom? So we are involved in the transition, but so are the other members of our family, and so are the members of the community or the congregation or the school. So ask questions to your family and friends, what's ending for them? One rabbi told us the story that for one of his children, what was ending was the loving relationship he had with the other members of his playgroup, and that's what the child was going to miss. So it's important to know not only what's ending, but what's ending for whom. The next task is to embrace emotions. As I mentioned in the beginning, if this is an iceberg, the physical stop is the tip of the iceberg. What's underneath of it are all of the emotions: fear, anxiety, happiness, celebration, uncertainty. Bridges suggests embrace the emotions. This is not about logic. This is about accepting the pain and accepting the moments of celebration, about moving on as well. Sometimes we are amazed at the intensity of the reaction that some people have to the transition, to the ending, to our moving on, whether we're feeling it, members of our family, or members of our community. And sometimes we call it overreaction. Bridges suggests that it's normal, because for one particular person, what's ending may be very particularly important to them, may be very painful. You may be the rabbi that most inspired them. You may be the rabbi that gave them a sermon that changed their life. You may be the rabbi that officiated at their wedding. For you, you are at the center of their life. So it's not an overreaction. For them, it's the appropriate emotional reaction. Bridges makes the point to accept the emotions that other people have. Sometimes we think that these are people who have been supportive to us, whether they're members of family, board members, past presidents of our community, who have been very good to us for many, many years. And now that we've announced that we're moving on, they're upset with us. They're angry with us. And we're surprised by it. And what Bridges says is, don't be surprised. They are loving of us. They are supportive of us. They're just feeling bad that, in fact, the transition is taking place. So again, the intensity of the reaction of people, their being angry with us, is only a step in the process, something we should expect and not be surprised by. And we should accept it. And we should acknowledge it with language like, I understand your feelings. I appreciate the feelings of loss you're having. I'm having them as well. Bridges makes the point that letting go, endings, is similar to grieving, and we will experience, and those people around us will experience, feelings of mourning and of grief. And he suggests that one of the best ways to deal with that is to be able to talk about it. If we make the analogy for what it's like to sit around at Shiva and talk about the loss of someone. When we talk about it, we feel better, and we say different things to different people about our loved one. And so it can be in the transition as well. As part of the process of letting go, what we should be doing is talking about it, sharing our feelings, and encouraging others to share their feelings as well. We should not be embarrassed and we should not hold back, but we should be appropriate, and we should be able to say how we are feeling to those who are around us. It will make for a better transition for us. Part of having good closure, part of being able to say goodbye in this experience, is to be able to communicate others about where we are going and what we are doing. Those around us seek information, and one of the best ways we're able to transition others in saying goodbye and letting go is to give them information. What they really seek is to know what are the next steps. So be able to give them whatever the basic information that it is that they need, and encourage your lay leadership to communicate to the constituencies what they need to know about the transition. People have said there's never enough communication. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Let's talk a little bit about the rituals of saying goodbye. Marking the ending with some kind of ritual is helpful to us as rabbis, to our families, and to our constituencies. There are a number of kinds of goodbyes to say. First is a private goodbye. Pick up the phone, send an email, write a letter, schedule an appointment with those people who are important to us, and say goodbye to them personally and individually. It's a key part of closure and being able to say goodbye. One institution suggested that there be a journal And among the lay people, they passed around a private notebook where people wrote letters to the rabbi of what was the impact that the rabbi had on their community. The rabbi found it to be very comforting. And then in recent years, someone suggested putting it online and creating an internet electronic journal where people were able to write their goodbye letters to the rabbi on the internet, and people were able to share all of their views and love for the rabbi communally on the internet. Let's also remember that a key way is a public goodbye, whether it's a service or a party or some kind of ceremony. A public goodbye is very important. For some, this is controversial. I was let go. My contract was not renewed. I'm feeling angry. I would like to suggest in retrospect, as many rabbis have told us for many years, even when you're angry, it's very important. Because it may have been the act of a few people, it may have been a board vote, but there are many people in that community for whom you had an impact, with whom you love and they love you. And having a public goodbye will be a memory all will cherish. Moving towards Bridges' final points, he makes the wise statement: respect the past. Do not denigrate the past. No matter what kind of experience you've had, no matter what it's felt like to you, and even if you're feeling upset or angry, it's important at this moment to find what you're proud of, to talk about the positive, to talk about your accomplishments, and not badmouth a particular person or a piece of the institution. Leave by respecting the past, and people will appreciate that act. The final act of letting go and saying goodbye is to have an exit meeting with the search committee or with the executive committee of the institution. Here it's a time to let people know the exact date that you're leaving, confirm what are going to be your daily responsibilities while you're still there till the end of your tenure, to talk about what will be on the do list and the not do list, talk about vacation plans, talk about all of those daily details that people have taken for granted and now need to be clarified at the end. You may also want to give them a little bit of advice about the nature of their institution or some advice for the search committee, but you will not be serving on the search committee. But it is an important time to give the organization information on some of their patterns of behavior. Many years ago, we realized that when rabbis look for employment and they're thinking about their new beginning, if there is a problem or there is a failure, it often doesn't have to do with the new institution or the search. It has to do with how they said goodbye or how well they were able to let go of their former place of employment. So William Bridges comes to teach us that there are tasks now for you to think about very carefully as you are leaving your institution. First, he says, use it as an opportunity to get closure. What was accomplished? What was not accomplished? How is the chapter ending? Second, he suggests it's a time to say goodbye. Say goodbye publicly, say goodbye privately. Third, he says, recognize it's not just about the stop. It's not just about the date that you will be leaving. It's also about all the things that you and your family will be feeling. Recognize them. Embrace those emotions. And finally, he suggests the most important task here is to be able to let go. And only when we are able to let go will we be able to move forward. This has been Eit Ratzon Katan. My name is Elliot Schoenberg, the International Director of Placement for the Rabbinical Assembly. Thank you for listening.